बात RBI की, जिसकी मौद्रिक नीति की आज घोषणा होनी है। अब से कुछ ही देर में सोमवार से शुरू हुई मौद्रिक नीति समिति यानी MPC की 3 दिवसीय बैठक के बाद आज समिति अपनी द्विमासिक मौद्रिक नीति की घोषणा करेगी और इस बैठक के फैसलों का ऐलान RBI गवर्नर संजय मल्होत्रा की ओर से किया जाएगा। माना जा रहा है कि समिति नीतिगत रिपोर्ट जो रेपो रेट है उसमें कोई बदलाव करने नहीं जा रही है। वहीं जून की पिछली बैठक में रेपो रेट को 5.25 पर यथावत रखा गया था। महंगाई के रुख और वैश्विक अनिश्चितता को देखते हुए ये फैसला लिया जा सकता है। आइए आपको सीधे लिए चलते हैं RBI की प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में।
On the policy repo rate. After a detailed assessment of the evolving macroeconomic and financial developments, as well as the outlook, the MPC decided unanimously to keep the policy repo rate unchanged at 5.25%. Consequently, the STF rate shall remain unchanged at 5%, and the MSF rate and the bank rate at 5.5%. The MPC also decided to continue with the neutral stance. I shall now briefly set out the rationale for these decisions. The MPC noted that headline inflation has edged up above target as expected. The realized inflation for Q1, however, remained marginally lower than projections, reflecting limited pass-through of cost pressures. The higher inflation is mostly on account of fuel and food, with little signs of generalization of price pressures so far. Core inflation, excluding precious metals, continues to be benign. As projected earlier, headline inflation is expected to rise further in the near term. It is expected to peak in Q3 of this year, primarily again due to food and fuel, and thereafter moderate. The underlying inflation reflected by core inflation excluding precious metals, which has been benign for some time, is set to align with core inflation towards the end of the financial year. Growth continues to be supported by the resilient domestic demand, sustained expansion in manufacturing and services activity, and robust exports. It reaffirms India's position as the world's fastest growing major economy. To sum up, the MPC noted that even though headline inflation is projected to increase, it is primarily on account of supply side pressures caused by food and fuel. It is not getting broad-based. Core inflation continues to remain moderate, and it is expected to decline after peaking in Q3. Growth, albeit resilient, is expected to be lower in this financial year. The outlook, however, is hazy because of the uncertainties regarding southwest monsoon, El Nino, geopolitics, and global trade policy. There is a need for greater clarity to emerge, especially regarding inflation, its path and composition, before taking any policy action. Any such action would also have to consider the need for recalibration of policy rates in line with the evolving growth inflation dynamics, especially the normalization of the underlying inflation from its benign levels seen hitherto. Considering all these factors, the MPC voted to keep the policy repo rate unchanged. The MPC also decided to retain the neutral stance to respond appropriately to macroeconomic developments. The MPC underscored that it will maintain a close vigil and remain resolute in its commitment to align inflation with the target. I will now come to our assessment of growth and inflation. Let me first of all talk about growth. The supply side pressures caused by the West Asia conflict have eased somewhat since June 2026.